Morrowind is one of the best games I've ever played. There, I said it. Funny thing is, I actually tried it for the first time this year. I've spent plenty of hours in Oblivion and Skyrim, but somehow I skipped over Morrowind. And that's really unfortunate, because this game is packed with amazing mechanics, little details, and design choices that put a lot of modern releases to shame. So today, that's exactly what I want to talk about. I'm going to share the things that surprised me most during my first playthrough, or at least my first 60 hours, since I still haven't finished the game yet. Grab a comfy seat, because I've got a lot to tell you. Let's start with the first thing that really grabbed my attention: exploration. Right from the start, I noticed something big. There is no quest arrow or marker to guide you. Just this small compass so you can see the directions, but nothing related to quests. On top of that, the map itself is completely empty at first, except for you and Seydanin, of course. After chatting with a few NPCs, you get some markers for nearby cities, but that's it. And the game doesn't hold your hand with all the info you get from NPCs either. Take the Mentor's Ring, for example. You hear about it, but nothing shows up in your journal or on your map. You have to remember it or write it down yourself. That happens a lot. And the directions you do get, they can be pretty vague. Like the White Guar quest, you get this hint about where to find it. In my vision, I saw it where the path was forked, where the rocks grow from the earth like fingers on a hand. And you think, what? What does that even mean? Do I really have to find rocks shaped like fingers? And sure enough, you actually can. Stuff like that makes the world feel alive. The journal is another surprise. It doesn't work like Skyrim's quest list. It's an actual notebook with pages and dates, and if you forget something, you have to flip through to find it again. It might feel clunky, but honestly, it adds so much immersion. It really feels like your character is jotting down notes. It also made me think twice before accepting too many quests. Imagine having 100 pending. Good luck finding them all and making sense of it. So I stuck to doing one at a time and maybe kept a few others pending at most. Travel is its own story too. There is no universal fast travel system. You've got Silt Riders, boats, Mages Guild teleports, and spells like Divine Intervention, Amcivi Intervention, or Mark and Recall. It feels more like real travel. You might take a Silt Rider to one city, hop on a boat to another, and then finish the last part on foot. Just like in real life, where you sometimes take a bus, a train, and a plane to get somewhere. Morrowind's travel system captures that sense of planning your journey. It actually reminded me of the travel system in Ragnarok Online, that old MMORPG. Have you ever played it? Funny enough, it was released the same year as Morrowind. Anyway, let's get back on track. So, besides all that, exploration is rewarding because the world isn't level scaled. You can come across crazy loot early on and take it if you're skilled or sneaky enough. I once found a glass claymore worth 32,000 gold just lying around in Tel Branora. And speaking of Telvanni towns, the first time I saw one, their mushroom-like architecture instantly reminded me of the underwater city from The Longest Journey. I even looked it up again since I hadn't played that game in years. It's not actually that similar, but it's cool how your brain brings back memories from childhood games just because something looks slightly familiar. Morrowind, even though I'm playing it for the first time, somehow brings back memories of other old games. It makes me feel a little like a kid again, as I'm totally immersed in the beautiful world, and it makes me curious about checking out every corner.
Here we go again.
But okay, one more thing I wanted to mention about exploration: interiors. Some buildings, especially in Telvanni towns, are full of hidden surprises, like this underground area with lots of chests and sometimes even a unique NPC, like a trainer who could push my athletic skill way higher than anyone else I'd found so far. And the funny thing? I discovered her totally by accident while snooping around different buildings. I still didn't help the poor lady. I just wanted to learn as much as I could from her, since I had no idea if it would still be possible after doing the quest for her. Now, when I think about it, I guess my mindset really fits the Telvanni. No surprise, I actually joined that house. And no, wait, what am I talking about? They're mages, so it made the most sense. Yeah, that's definitely the only reason. I'm not crazy, you know? So everywhere you go, there is something interesting waiting. Keys hidden under lanterns, caves that require levitation, or random treasures tucked away in buildings. And here's a tip. If you're over-encumbered, don't leave loot on a corpse. Bodies disappear after just a few days. I once lost an expensive armor set that way. Instead, grab everything and drop it underground to pick up later, or better yet, use recall to stash it at your base. Exploration in Morrowind isn't just moving from point A to point B. It's about being curious, paying attention, and finding your own way. And honestly, that's what makes it awesome. Now, I want to dive into loot a bit more, specifically clothes and armor. And wow, the layering system in Morrowind is absolutely mind-blowing. Right now, my character's wearing boots, glass pants with a skirt over them, a shirt with a cuirass on top, and a robe over everything. And that's not all. You've got separate left and right gauntlets and pauldrons too. You can also wear a helmet if you want, but I just prefer how my character looks without it. Oh, almost forgot, there's even a belt. Honestly, I've never seen a layering system like this in any other game. One of you mentioned recently in the comments that Daggerfall has it too, which, considering how old the game is even more mind-blowing. It opens up so many possibilities, especially for enchanting effects, since all these individual clothing pieces can be enchanted separately. I love it because modern games are so restrictive. You usually just get a few slots: shoes, pants, helmet, gloves, cuirass, and that's it. For example, in Skyrim, armor covers your legs, chest, and shoulders. You can wear some rugged pants, but not with armor. And in other games like Horizon, one item basically represents a full armor set. Morrowind, on the other hand, doesn't box you in. You can even wear two completely different pauldrons if you feel like it. Why not? Technically, in real life, you could layer pants, a shirt, a skirt, a cuirass, and a robe. Would it make sense? Probably not, but you can do it. And in Morrowind, you can too. And that freedom is incredible. The game doesn't limit you like so many newer titles, and that's part of what makes it so much fun. And now that we're talking about clothing, I actually want to dive into merchants a bit. You can buy and sell clothes and armor with them, but here's the thing that totally blew me away. Merchants can actually wear the items you sell them. And it gets even crazier. You can't just buy it back. You have to sell something first, which the merchant will wear, and only then will your item appear in their stock. That's insane. On top of that, the stuff you see on shelves is actually for sale and disappears when you buy it. I wonder about items that can respawn. Would they appear on the shelf again? Take Ariel's shop for example. I bought a green robe and a staff from him, and 60 hours later, those spots are still empty and they aren't in his stock either. So maybe shelf items are ones that never restock? I'm not sure. And here's another detail I love. If an item was in a merchant's stock and you steal it from the shop, it actually disappears from their stock. I did this with a Grand Soul Gem in the Mage's Guild. It vanished completely. The game is so meticulous with these little details, but you've got to be careful. I once sold Galbadir in the Mage's Guild, a silver staff of peace I got from Telvanni when I became a mouth. I didn't need it, and I knew I could buy it back if necessary. Hours later, when I actually wanted it for my own mouth, I was panicking. Where did it go? I checked the Mage's Guild other shops, and eventually my recordings since I couldn't find it. Yes, I sold it to Galbadir and she had it on her back. I tried selling her a few different stuffs I'd collected, but she refused to equip any of them. I could fight her and take it, or maybe even steal it if I'd trained sneak, but I hadn't, so I had to give up for a while and eventually track the stuff down at another merchant hours later. That's the kind of surprise I love about this game. After so many hours, it still throws a little twist at you. And get this, stealing is mostly fine. I stole tons of things and had no problem selling them except once. In Pelagiat, I took some items directly from a trader's chest, which were technically part of his stock, and tried selling them to him. Guards caught me immediately. Can you believe that? It's so detailed that the merchants can actually recognize when you're selling goods you stole from them? Huh. Interesting. Or at least that's what happened in my game. After that, I only sold stolen items to other merchants, not the owners. Another thing I want to mention is selling expensive items. At first, I had no idea how to get full value without losing money, so I just left the more expensive items underground in the Mages Guild. Most of them I actually didn't want to sell at all, just to collect. But eventually, I realized a workaround. Sell the item, but at the same time, buy different items worth the amount the merchant was missing to pay you full price. Then wait a day for the merchant to restock cash, sell some of the items you bought, and repeat until everything is sold. It's a bit annoying, especially with super expensive stuff like items worth 100,000 gold, but for things worth up to 6,000, it works great. There is probably a better way I haven't figured out yet, or maybe there is a merchant somewhere with more money. I actually once met a weird guy on an island who mentioned a mudcrab merchant near Pelagiat with tons of gold. I even looked for it, but couldn't find it, though knowing Morrowind, I'm sure it exists and one day I'll stumble upon it. Finally, the price you get for items depends on how much merchants like you. Early on, I thought Ariel liked me because every time I sold him something, his mood went up a point. Later, I realized that while selling does increase his mood temporarily, it drops back once you leave the dialogue menu. To really get merchants to like you, you have to bribe them, do quests for them, or join certain houses or guilds. Ariel probably liked me because I helped Fargoth and he mentioned it positively. So I picked a few favorite merchants and bribed them so I could always get the best prices. Another thing that surprised me, skooma and moon sugar. Some merchants won't even let you buy anything if you already have them in your inventory. But there are some who don't care. They even wait for you to sell it to them. The level of detail is just another thing that makes Morrowind so fun and immersive, and it really adds to the personality of the NPCs. Since we're already hanging around the Mages Guild, let's talk a bit about magic. For my very first playthrough of Morrowind, I actually decided to go full mage, which is funny because I'd never played a mage in Oblivion or Skyrim, usually sticking to archers and warriors. So this was my first time trying it in the Elder Scrolls series, and wow, it really felt like a completely new experience. The first spells that really caught my attention were water walking, levitate, and jump. These are absolute game changers when it comes to exploring. Water walking is amazing. It saves me from dealing with slaughterfish, which in Morrowind are just the worst. Seriously, you touch the water for 2 seconds and boom, the battle music kicks in. Levitate though, that one's on another level. It lets you explore literally every corner of the map, climb places you'd never reach otherwise, and basically opens the world up in a way you just can't in Oblivion or Skyrim. I think it's insane they gave us that freedom. I checked to make sure Skyrim and Oblivion don't have levitate since I didn't recall ever seeing it. Like I mentioned, I never really played a mage, so I thought I might have just missed it. But yeah, they actually removed it. I read that the reason levitate was taken out in later games is because the cities are built in separate cells, so you couldn't just fly over the walls without breaking immersion. And true, when you enter a city in Skyrim, you get a loading screen. Apparently the devs also called it an exploit. Wait, what? Exploit? No way! Levitate is perfectly balanced. Okay, maybe it's a little overpowered, but that's what makes it so much fun. I use it constantly, exploring Vivek, climbing mountains, running away from monsters, even fighting things from the sky. And not to mention the Telvanni strongholds. They've literally got areas you have to levitate into. Without it, you're just not getting there. That kind of design is wild, but it makes those places feel so unique. And caves, oh man, caves. I always levitate up to the ceiling just in case there's a loot hidden away, because sometimes there actually is. Once I even had to use a levitate scroll to help a prisoner escape from a spot near the ceiling after I'd already defeated the Ogrim guarding him. Opening the door wasn't enough. I had to give him a way out with a scroll since it was too high. That detail blew me away. Jump spell is another thing I've started experimenting with. It lets you move across the map ridiculously fast if it's strong enough, and of course you have to combine it with slow fall or break it in another way. Without it, you're not surviving those landings. There's even this neat detail. If you jump super high and land in water, you're fine. But if you've got water walking active and you smack the surface, it's the end for you. It's the little touches like that which make the game feel so unique. Then there are the quality of life spells. Mark and Recall are just incredible. You can carry way too much heavy loot and teleport back without any hassle. It makes the whole adventuring experience so much smoother. Having to go back for your loot multiple times would be really annoying. I can't express enough how useful those spells are. And don't even get me started on spell making. I love it. I made a spell to fortify luck and intelligence by 100 for 3 seconds just for when I'm brewing potions or bribing people. Luck actually matters in Morrowind's dice roll system. It affects alchemy, combat, enchanting, persuasion, and more. So buffing it is something you might want to do in certain situations. I combined that with intelligence so I can use this spell in different circumstances. I also created an open 100 spell pretty early, and I've been using it non-stop. Honestly, I haven't come across a door or chest I couldn't unlock with it. Sure, some of them can be opened with keys, but I love that the game always gives you another option and doesn't force you to use the key. So yeah, magic in Morrowind is absolutely top tier. The spells, the interactions, and all the little details keep surprising me. It's easily one of my favorite parts of the game so far. Alright, let's switch things up a bit and talk about quest design. One of the things I love about this game is how interactive it feels. For example, I once had a quest to help someone who got robbed of their animal skins. I wasn't given much info, so what did I do? I asked around at the nearby camp, and sure enough, I learned where the bandits were hiding. That's exactly what you do in real life too, right? Just ask people if they've seen anything. And here's another detail I really appreciate. Even after finishing a quest, if you want your reward, you sometimes have to travel somewhere else to actually claim it. It's not just handed to you on the spot. It makes the game feel way more demanding, but also more interesting and exciting. In this case, you're curious about what you'll get, but you still have to go out of your way for it. It's like you put more work into earning it, so you end up appreciating the reward even more. These kinds of quests, combined with exploration, create some really unique adventures. Every time I pick up a new quest, I feel like I'm setting off on another little trip, discovering new places, items, and NPCs along the way. Take the Mage's Guild for instance. I got a quest from Skink in Tree's Shade, yeah, what a name, to arrange a meeting between him and an Ashlander wise woman. I traveled out to the camp he mentioned, explored the area a bit, and in the very same camp, I got a side quest involving a white guar. I followed the directions, looked for those stone fingers I talked about earlier in the video, and eventually found the guar, which led me to the body of a healer from the tribe. Quick warning, if you're running certain grass mods, spotting that body can be nearly impossible. I spent a lot of time trying to find it and had to disable my mod temporarily just to click on it. I took her curing amulet and returned it to the tribe. So I helped the people living in the camp, saw the beautiful white guar, and even got a hint from the locals to head to Zergonipol for some extra loot. Of course, I also wrapped up the actual Mage's Guild quest, which first involved clearing a spirit out of a tomb so that the apprentice wise woman could meet king. And yeah, I planned to see Zergonipol too, but I didn't have enough space in my inventory. Either way, it all turned into this amazing little adventure from just one quest chain. That's exactly why I love Morrowind. Another cool thing is how the game reacts to small details. Like Fargot, he somehow knows when someone's robbed his hideout, or that lady who wanted to go to the fields of Kumu. When she passed away, I found a note in my journal with some unexpectedly dark humor. Moments like that keep the world feeling alive. And then there are quests that you can solve in different ways. Take Terrana's quest, where you have to deliver her a new skirt.
Outlander, what do you want?
She wants you to wear it first to prove it's not cursed. If you put it on, she attacks you. At that point, you've got options: fight her or escape. You can also choose not to wear the skirt and instead give it to the Khajiit standing nearby. But if you do that, the poor guy loses his life. I didn't want to get rid of Terrana, but at first I thought, well, I can escape, but what will that even give me? She'll probably still attack me when I come back. So I tried different approaches. I talked to people, looked around, and when I saw the dialogue option to hand the skirt to the Khajiit, I was shocked. I mean, that's insane! For such a simple delivery quest, you actually have multiple solutions. In the end, I wasn't okay with dragging the Khajiit into it, so I escaped and came back later. And it turned out Terrana wasn't hostile anymore. Everything was fine. That's the kind of unpredictable, layered design that makes even the smallest quests in Morrowind so memorable. Another thing I really love about this game is figuring out little strategies and workarounds. Like the first time I ran into a hunger in a cave, I had no clue how to beat it. It kept paralyzing me and my magic wasn't doing much at all. So I just started summoning creatures as fast as I could. The hunger would try to paralyze them too, but it couldn't keep up, and eventually, thanks to my summoned creatures, the thing went down. And here's the funny part. I actually ended up loving the hunger because of that paralyzed ability. So I thought, why not get a spell to summon one myself? That way, if an enemy is giving me too much trouble, I can just throw in a hunger to paralyze them instead. And I did that so many times. Pairing a hunger with a Daedroth? That combo made me feel totally safe. The hardest part though is actually casting those summons because my conjuration skill isn't great. Finding a trainer who can teach me higher levels was a pain, and leveling it up on my own is slow, since I don't use it much. I mean, ancestral ghosts, skeletons and scams aren't that strong, and the tougher summons are just too hard to cast consistently. At one point, I even bought some armor summoning spells, thinking I could just use them while walking around. But nope, you can just recast them one after another. You have to wait for the effect to finish before casting again, so I decided it wasn't worth it. So unfortunately, my conjuration skill is still pretty low. And you know, I don't want to check things on the internet. I think it would ruin the experience. I want to figure things out myself. Oh, and here's a random detail I stumbled across. If you paralyze a hunger when its tongue is sticking out, it just stays frozen like that. I found this out when I once summoned a hunger just to help me fight another hunger. So yeah, you've got options. Summon a hunger and fight safely at a Daedroth and just let both creatures handle the situation, or just fly around tossing fireballs or other spells from a distance. There are so many different strategies you can use in fights. And it's not just combat. There are all these little workarounds in other parts of the game too. Like using Mark and Recall to carry more loot than you should, or making custom spells to boost intelligence and luck, or selling really expensive items to merchants who don't have enough gold by buying their other stuff at the same time. I've talked about these tricks earlier in the video, but I just want to point out how much of a difference they make. I even once figured how to open a trapdoor without a probe by just healing quickly at the right time. And when I finally realized what probes were actually for, I didn't need them anymore. I preferred my trick. But my ideas or workarounds are nothing compared to yours. I read all your comments from the previous video, and it would be a waste not to mention your awesome suggestions. For example, check out this recipe for the ultimate jump. Like I said, I haven't used many jumping spells so far, but I definitely have to try this one. And don't even get me started on the boots with plus 200 speed and the blind effect. I have no idea where these boots are, but thanks to you, when I find them, I'll be able to use them and see everything clearly. All these little things add up. You're constantly coming up with new solutions to problems, and that's what makes Morrowind so awesome. So yeah, Morrowind really surprises me with so many things, even the smallest ones. Like, take the Dwemer ruins you have to explore during one of the first quests for Caius when you're helping that guy from the Fighters Guild. I searched through the whole place. It was massive and not the easiest to navigate. Honestly, it was probably the biggest Dwemer ruin I'd seen so far, since a lot of the others felt really small in comparison. But here's the twist. The puzzle box I was looking for? It was right near the beginning, the only spot I somehow missed. And you know why? Because I was expecting the good loot to be tucked away far deeper inside, like most games do nowadays. But Morrowind doesn't play by those rules. The best loot might be right at the entrance, in the middle, or of course, tucked away at the end. It keeps you guessing, and even that alone really surprised me. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the inventory. The fact that you can change the size of different windows is honestly mind-blowing. You can customize it however you like. And check this out. You can place items from your inventory wherever you want and even stack them one by one. It's super easy to do, and you can quickly decorate your stronghold exactly the way you want. Definitely way easier than in Skyrim. I always struggle there when I try to place something nicely, and don't even get me started on accidentally hitting an item while moving. All your work ruined. And how about the fact that in caves there are blind slaughterfish? It actually makes perfect sense because there is no daylight down there, so they have probably developed other senses to survive. What also surprised me is that if you go into the water with a lantern, it actually breaks and completely disappears from your inventory. I learned that the hard and very sad way, but I will tell you about that another time. How about you? What surprised you in Morrowind? I guess a lot of you might have played this game a lot when it was released, and I'm curious, what was it like back when it first came out? Did you get surprised by the same things or different ones, since you couldn't compare it to Oblivion or Skyrim at the time? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, those were the most interesting things that really surprised me in Morrowind, and I have a feeling I'll discover even more in the many hours still ahead. Lately, I joined the temple and started doing pilgrimages, and I still can't believe Morrowind has things like that. But that's definitely a topic for another video. Hope you enjoyed this one. Until next time, thanks for watching.